or donate online today at together.ca. That's together.ca. The Humanitarian Coalition. Together, saving more lives.
Welcome to Grey County Life at Home. I'm one of your hosts, Rhonda Brown, and good morning, our other wonderful host, Miss Mary Jane Murray. How are you today, Miss Mary Jane?
Oh, good morning, Rhonda and Charlie Brown. It's always good to see the two of you. We're really a three-host for Grey County Life at Home because we have to include Charlie Brown.
We do. He is a ray of sunshine on days when I don't feel like doing anything, or he is just always there to be a ray of sunshine. He's sometimes rather loud. If anybody ever comes to my door, they'll know that he is quite loud, but he is a sweetheart. And I know that, it's funny how much we put into these relationships with these little guys. And, I didn't have a lot of compassion for dogs before Charlie. I was always afraid of dogs, but, you get one sweetheart and I'm a dog lover for the rest of my life, I think. And I know you are as well.
Well, I know Renee works really hard at convincing both of us that we need to adopt everything that she brings on. And our hearts melt for each of the adorable adoptables, but we really need to just share the love and let our community viewers pick up on the adorable adoptables and bring them into their hearts. So, we're okay with that.
We are, it's... I'm terrible for that, just seeing something and thinking, oh, yes, we could have one of those at our house with Charlie. And then I have to ask the family members first, and it's funny. My 16-year-old son is quite often the voice of reason saying, Mom, how are we going to look after that? Thank goodness. Yes. It's always good to bounce ideas off of people. Yeah.
Well, it's always good to have a voice of reason within the household. But I wanted to do a shout out today for something special, because I wanted to do a shout out to a Sweetwater restaurant at Cobble Beach, because Brian and I are celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary.
Congrats.
We made it. And we just have the Murray crew. There's 13 of us. And so we met with Simon Newbold, who is the sales and events manager at Cobble. And he did an amazing job sitting down with us, planning everything out, because we have 5 grandchildren. And we have more than one person with allergies in our family. So setting things out took a bit of planning, and he was amazing. He did such a fabulous job. And when we arrived over the weekend, they had made name cards with each person's name and all their menu selections already laid out. The room was lovely. We were close to an outside door, so if the kids got restless, they could go outside, which they did. And also a shout out to Chelsea, the head server that day. And she did an amazing job of keeping the flow going, and all the food prep was all in the right place with the right people. And she had a team behind her that she coordinated. Lovely, lovely girl who did an amazing job. And also just a shout out to the chef as well, because he had to negotiate all these meals with all the allergies as well. So the chef, I want to include the chef as well. And between the three of them, or their whole crew at Sweetwater Cobble Beach, it was a lovely evening for all of us.
That is fantastic. And you're right, coordinating, because when you realize too, you think, it's not such a big deal. It's one group of people with a few allergies, not a big deal. You're not the only customer there. You're not the only diner at the time. So they've got to do that on top of keeping everything else flowing and the food going and that sort of thing. So I can't even imagine the chaos. I have a hard enough time cooking for 3, well, 4 with Charlie. Yeah, it is quite a task, and to do it well is awesome.
Yes, and they did. They actually put a chef on for us just to do our meals. And so, yeah, I mean, they just went out of their way. And we didn't even tell them it was our 50th anniversary. We just said we were bringing the family, and it was so lovely. They did such a beautiful job.
Yeah, really nice. Well, I think that our restaurants and places out and about in Grey and Bruce counties, I think anywhere I've been, as restrictions have been lifting, everybody has been wonderfully gracious, done a fantastic job. They go out of their way. They're so excited to be able to actually be open, I'm sure, after all of this. I mean, the people that have survived the pandemic, they're probably quite relieved, to be, at least what we think, is on the other side.
Well, you and I are always very happy to do shout outs to the businesses that we have in our community and the services that we have in our community, because it's really a celebration. And I think that with Grey County Life and Grey County Life at Home, we are able to do that. All through the pandemic, we were able to give shout outs to the amazing services that we have in our community, always to support, always to celebrate.
Yeah, I think we're pretty darn lucky to live where we do live. And I guess one of our guests today is going to give us a bit of a snapshot, though, of life in Grey County. And it should be quite interesting and eye-opening, I'm sure. Yeah, it should be a good show. So make sure you stay tuned to Grey County Life at Home with Mary Jane, Rhonda, and Charlie.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
I'm Nicole Martin, the proud ambassador for the Comfort Bear program. Comfort Bears provide these cuddly bears to local children who are terminally ill, facing trauma, or battling a serious illness. Every $20 donation will place a Comfort Bear into the loving arms of a child involved in our program. It is our hope to distribute 1,000 bears in 2022. Please join us and provide comfort to kids in their time of need.
Are you the type who would keep going or stop? It's not easy to stop when you have an addiction. Legalizing cannabis won't stop addiction. It trivializes its consumption. Let's be vigilant. If you need help, visit portage.ca.
Grey County Life at Home. I'm one of your hosts, Rhonda Brown, with the very sleepy Charlie Brown this morning. You'd think that he was out and about in Grey County, Mary Jane, doing stuff. And my host, Mary Jane, who's our next guest?
Oh, well, today we have the pleasure of talking to Jennifer Wright, who is the Events and Activation Coordinator for the City of Owen Sound, and Melissa Cranny, who is the Tourism and Marketing Coordinator for Owen Sound. And Owen Sound always has so much going on, and we're just going to hear about some of the events that are coming up. So Jen, do you want to start with telling us about the Harbor Nights?
For sure. So we've got Harbor Nights that happen throughout the summer. Here, actually, where Melissa and I are today at the Owen Sound Tourism Visitor Center along the harbor front, just past where the Chichimon usually sits in the winter time. And so we have Harbor Nights here on Sunday nights, and it runs from June the 5th until August 21st. And we have several performers, bands, singles, duos this year. So it's a great night, and it's an opportunity for people to come outdoors. You bring your lawn chair, you can bring your dinner with you. And this year it will be rain or shine. So we happen to get some inclement weather. We'll make an announcement on the radio as well as on our website to let people know to head over to the Owen Sound Legion. And Rogers TV actually is there. They do, Mark comes over and he does a live feed so that people at home on Channel 53 can watch the Harbor Nights as well. So if you want to check out the lineup for that, it's harbornights.ca. And we've got 12 performances this year. And again, it's all free. So bring your dinner, stop by one of our River District restaurants to pick up dinner, come on over and listen to some great music from some fine entertainers in the area. We also have some entertainers coming up from the city this year. So we've got a great docket of entertainment for everybody's pleasure.
All right, do you have your full complement now, or are you still looking for entertainers?
We actually are full and we have a waiting list this year. Of course, with COVID, a lot of entertainers didn't have much opportunity to get out and about. So the phones and the emails came in rather quickly as soon as we set the dates. And yeah, so we do have a cancellation list, so you never know, performers, stuff comes up. So we'll make sure we reach out to those that are still on that list.
This is a great community event. I've been there several times, but what I like most about it is totally inclusive for all community members.
It is for sure, and we do get various ages. We have some seniors that come, and we also have some young families who bring their kiddos, and they bring their beach blankets and some refreshments. We also have vendors that will be on site as well. Sunday's Ice Cream will be here, as well as Sugar Dust Bakery a few of the nights this year. So sweets and treats, come out on a Sunday night and listen to the music and have some yummies.
I think you just said the magic words, "will be there."
Perfect.
So, and then you've got music at the market.
Yeah, so music at the market has been going for several years. And again, it's all live free music brought to you by a sponsor, Remax Scrapers Realty. And I should also mention about Harbor Nights. We have several local businesses that support those nights with sponsorships. So all 12 of those evenings are sponsored nights. So that's our ability to be able to bring that live music for free to the community. So back to music at the market. We've got 8 weeks during the summer months, July and August. It starts July the 7th, and it runs for Thursdays and Fridays from 12 until 2 in the Farmers Market Square in behind City Hall. So again, it's a bring your lawn chair type of event. And we've got a lot of bands booked this year for that. It's a bit of a bigger stage venue there. So we have lots of bands that are coming, but we do have some singles and duos and lots of folks that people will know their name. And again, coming out of COVID, it was booked solid from the get-go. So We're excited to get that launched again this year. And hopefully Mark can make it out to a few of those to do some Rogers taping as well. I know people at home really appreciate it. And again, musicatthemarket.ca if you want to go check out the lineup for that. And we will have specials from the local River District restaurants and cafes that will pop up that week to offer up any specials they have that people can grab and go and come down and join us in the River District in behind City Hall at the Farmers Market from 12 to 2 Thursdays and Fridays in July and August.
The Farmers Market space is so nice now. I mean, it's just the perfect outdoor venue to have in downtown Owen Sound.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing our outdoor family movie nights as well in that same area in the month of August. So Thursday nights, we've got August 4th, 11th, and 18th. So we have 3 movies planned for those nights. We've got Sing 2, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Tangled. So last year it was really well attended. And again, we always have sponsors on board to help us out with that. So yeah,
well, I'm glad that you corrected my thought process, because movie nights had previously been down at Harrison Park. And so now the movie nights are in the River District area, in the Farmers Market area. And I'm really glad that you made that point, because when I thought of the family movie nights, I was mentally trekking down to Harrison Park. And I don't need to go that far now.
No, you don't.
It's a more central location.
It is.
Not as many bugs either.
Yeah, that's what somebody else said to me the other day. We'll have less bugs.
So, Melissa, you have a special event coming up that you want to talk about, the Sound Waterfront Festival and Corkscrew Spirit Tours. What a mouthful. But anyway, at the end of it, it sounds like there might be a little beverage involved.
There is. So during the Waterfront Festival, which maybe I'll let Jen sort of touch on that because she has all the details. It's our 4-day multicultural event that we're bringing to Owen Sound during June 30th to July 3rd. So as part of that festival, we're doing the Corkscrew Spirit Tours. Formerly, we had Corkscrew City Tours, which we would be led throughout town, telling the history of the Prohibition era in Owen Sound and all the interesting bootlegging tales and all the wild stuff that happened back in the day. And we would travel from different locations, including Mudtown, for something to eat. And we get a little theatrical experience at Tone Yoga Studio, which was formerly the Women's Christian Temperance Union. It's a lot of fun. So we do have tickets for that on sale at the Attack Hockey box office, and you can find all of that information out there. Something that is new to this tour, we've actually joined forces with the Billy Bishop Museum, and they offer the Ghost Walk tours during the summer. So we've added a new sort of element to that. We're going to join the two together to bring you the Corkscrew Spirit Tours. So you get the best of both worlds. You get sort of like the spooky tales of our local, history, which is really fun. And then you get to have some drinks and some food and entertainment along the way. One thing I should mention for the ticket sales, we have the big canoe coming to this festival, which again, I'll have Jen sort of shed some light on that. So he'll be there all day, but we have a limited number of sort of like a special elite tickets you can purchase. We have 10 available that you can purchase for an extra $10 on your ticket. And we meet at the Reconciliation Garden, and we actually paddle the 10 people over to Mudtown Station, our first stop on the tour. During that time, we'll have our ghost tour sort of experience, telling some ghostly tales of the harbor en route to our first stop. And then for the remainder, we'll walk the tour with the historian and arrive at Mudtown Station. So those tickets are available as an add-on feature. And tickets for this event are $98. And again, they can be found at the Attack box office. But all the details for this event can be found at owensoundtourism.ca under tours. I feel like that was a lot. I don't know. Did I forget anything?
No, that was awesome. I think it's going to be a really fun tour, as well as amalgamating a lot of history. Plus, again, with the Prohibition, a lot of people, when I first came to Owen Sound, I had no idea that Owen Sound was dry. Until back in the day, until the 70s. So you think about that and just the changes that have happened around that. It's pretty cool, and a lot of people don't have that opportunity to actually get those firsthand stories. So, and then adding the ghost walk and the spirit type of thing in there, it all goes hand in hand. So we hope that the tickets sell out quickly, because it's a great opportunity for people to take part in and have that opportunity to do that.
And one thing I should mention too, this is a walking tour, except for that little added canoeing experience for those who are lucky enough to get those tickets. So it's a walking tour, but if it's raining, we do have a backup bus on standby if needed. So just something to know. Well, yeah.
Cool. Is that, sorry, and I don't know if I just didn't click when you said it, but is that a recurring tour that you can book? Like, is there a very limited number of times that you're doing it, obviously?
Well, for right now, we have this happening on July 2nd. That's the first one. We're hoping to do another one in the fall. Previously, pre-COVID, we would have them monthly during from June until October, but there's just been some changes. So we're sort of easing in. We're seeing how we can add some fun new features to that tour. And for this year, there will be two, definitely the one on July 2nd, and then more information to follow later on in the summer.
Thank you.
We have such a rich history in our community that so many folks may not really realize, because when you live here, you're not a tourist. And I think lots of times really what you need to experience is your own community through the eyes of being a tourist, before you actually know some of the history. And of course, just from past experience, I do know that there is something in that Billy Bishop Museum that appears every once in a while, particularly if you're in the pantry closet, which I have experienced. So I know that, we talk about ghosts and ghost tours and things like that, but we have such a rich history in Owen Sound that you are going to be bringing to the attention of our local community.
Yeah, and it's just a great addition to our waterfront festival, which is running the Thursday of June 30th to Sunday, July the 3rd. And so with that festival, it's a multicultural festival, and we are still, I should put the little plug out, we still are looking for vendors and any artisans or crafters who wish to come. But Thursday, which is the 30th, we're doing a youth day here at the visitor center. So we're going to be sending out invitations to the daycares, the summer camps, and the families to come and attend. We've got button making. We're going to have some family yoga sessions happening. We've got the Coca-Cola truck coming, and some ice cream vendors coming. So it's going to be a fun afternoon. We've got some outdoor games for kids to play and some activities for them to do. We've got some musicians coming, youth musicians as well. So that's actually forming up to be a really fun youth and kid-friendly day. And then on the Friday, of course, it's Canada Day. We got to wave our Canada flag. That's my big Canada flag here. We are doing Canada Day festivities at Kelso Beach, and that starts at noon and runs until about 10:30. We have the fireworks happening that evening as well. And our headliner for the evening, we've got musicians throughout the day. We've got entertainers and dancers and food trucks and artisans and crafters. So we're really, really excited. And of course, again, a beer tent. So people can come and chill out, have a drink, bring their family. Our headliner is Crystal Shawanda that night. So she's a local Indigenous, not local, but local to Ontario Indigenous musician. So she'll be playing on July 1st that evening, and then we'll have the big spectacular fireworks. And then we've got on the Sunday, we're doing a day of Black History. So we've got some musicians, and the Sheffield Black History Museum is bringing some artifacts over from Clarksburg. And we are going to have a really interesting day full of history and music, as well as, again, we'll have our vendors and our beer tent, etc. on site. And then on the Sunday, we head over to the Reconciliation Garden, where the folks over there are going to be doing some fire ceremonies, water ceremonies. There's going to be some bead making for the kids. And it's all going to be Indigenous art and culture there. So we were very lucky to receive a grant from the Ontario Cultural Attractions Fund, which helped us to be able to put this on for the community and for visitors coming to the area, as well as a plethora of local sponsors involved as well.
Well, you gals are really busy.
Yes, we are. You can say that.
a little bit.
Busy would be a good word.
We're happy to be busy though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're happy to see things coming back to normal, and hopefully we can enjoy the summer this year and get people back out. And again, it's all free to the community. It's all free to visitors, and we're hoping that we do get some visitors who decide to come and staycation with us for a few days during the summer, and it's a perfect time for them to come.
Well, I think particularly with the gas prices, folks may choose to come to some of our local communities as opposed to traveling out east or out west or south, that they will actually look at their close geographical areas and say, wow, look at all the stuff that's going on. I don't have to travel that far.
Exactly.
I think personally, I feel like the Indigenous days and events are fantastic, because myself growing up in Owen Sound, I didn't know any of our history or their history, and I think it's a great step in the right direction. And I just wanted to say thank you so much, Jen and Melissa, for coming today and sharing with us all the fantastic stuff coming down the pipe for our area this summer. So it's going to be, you could be as busy as you like or as laid back, but there's always something to do, which is fantastic.
Well, thanks for having us. And it's pretty easy to find our events. You just have to go to owensound.ca and then click through to the festival and events site or the tourism site. All the information is there for people to easily access.
Awesome. Thanks so much, girls. Hope you have a lovely summer, and we'll touch back with you in the fall, I think.
Sounds great.
My name is Chase Nicholas. I am a Mi'kmaq hockey player. Growing up, I always remember my family talking about the Mi'kmaq as the creators of the game of hockey. In grade 7, I did research on Mi'kmaq hockey sticks as the first sticks of the NHL. I found a Mi'kmaq hockey stick made in 1917, the same year the NHL was formed. I was surprised to find out the very stick I was holding was made by my great-great-grandfather, Alexander Cope. In 1934, an elder known as Old Joe Cope wrote a letter to the Halifax Herald claiming the Mi'kmaq created hockey. I found out later that I am a direct descendant of Old Joe Cope. There was a time when Mi'kmaq children were torn from their families and not allowed to speak their language, losing their words and stories. But the stories are coming back to us. Stepping on the ice, I take pride knowing the roots of the game of hockey stem from my ancestors in the Mi'kmaq Nation.
I'm David Sherman, host for Politically Speaking here on Rogers TV. Join me for my next show, where my guest will be Alex Ruff, MP for Bruce Grey Owen Sound. Politically Speaking on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Great County Life at Home. We have a guest coming on that is with a topic that is near and dear to my heart with my profession, and we'll have some really eye-opening information for everybody, I'm sure. Mary Jane, would you like to introduce?
We have Stuart Reid, who is the Executive Director of the Community Foundation Grey Bruce. And they publish a document that's called Vital Signs. And Vital Signs is an in-depth reflection on our community. And this year, the Vital Signs is focusing on housing, which is a really important topic in our community. And I'm talking about Grey Bruce at this time. And so welcome, Stuart, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. And I just want to start off with this question. Why is the in-depth focus on housing now?
Well, it's a good question, Mary Jane, and I'm happy to be here to talk about our Vital Focus on Housing report. Housing again and again comes up in the news as a topic that is paramount to our community. Over the last number of years, we've seen how Grey Bruce has been impacted by rising real estate values in the GTA. The secret's out. Lifestyle in the Grey and Bruce is highly desired, and we see a lot of influx of migrants from the big city who are driving up property values, and people that have lived here that are local are being priced out of the market. So it's really introduced a huge question about affordability of housing, access to housing, how housing is so important to everyone's well-being in our community. And it's just kind of a natural that we landed on that topic. Our work in Vital Signs is really supported by an advisory committee that the Community Foundation convenes that's made up of representatives from a number of social service and health agencies across the area, real brain trust. And so, it seemed quite natural to us that housing was a topic that was going to be front and center when we're talking about well-being in our community.
Well, housing is a human right. And even though that we say those words, that it doesn't always go into practice. But what your Vital Signs has done is organized it into 4 or 5 different key areas. So can you tell us about those areas?
Sure, Mary Jane. Yes, and Vital Signs really, the gesture of Vital Signs is that we look at sometimes very complex statistical data, and we try and turn it into a very readable, accessible format for people so that our report lands on coffee tables across the region, and it prompts conversations in families and amongst friends about a situation, and really encourages kind of conversation about these topics. So when we were looking at the data that we gathered, there was clustering that happened that really made sense to us. So we organized the report into 4 clusters. They are affordability and availability, which go hand in hand. Equity, so about people's equal access to housing and whether ethnicity or age or sexual orientation might play a factor in people's accessibility to housing. Living standards, so how housing is so closely tied to someone's ability to work and function and access to food, to green space, to their job. How does housing figure in terms of living standards for families and individuals across our region? And then well-being, which is kind of the collective well-being. And you mentioned that housing is a right, basic human right. Not everyone has access to, what we term a safe roof over their head. So, we look at issues related to homelessness, about precarity, about the health of a home. We heard a lot about tenants who were hesitant to raise issues about the mold or leaks or things in their home that might put their tenancy in precarity because there's nowhere for them to go. So all these things are interrelated to well-being. And, coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, hopefully coming out or moving through the pandemic, we are learning about how mental wellness is tied to all of these things and that people are stressed and concerned, and we need to be sensitive to these situations which give rise to real concerns about overall wellness in our community.
Well, I think the basic premise is, and we all know this, the politicians know this, the community members know this, that when you have stable, affordable housing, a family can thrive. A family feels safe. They tend to stay in school long. The children tend to stay in school longer. The parents are more stable in terms of employment opportunities. And the health and the well-being of the family is, this is where I live, not where I'm staying. And that whole mindset concept of being in a stable, affordable place to live, where there is home ownership or renting, changes people's lives. And we know that. And I am so grateful that you are focusing on the vital signs on housing, because that needs to spread further. It needs to impact those people who vote or raise issues.
I think you're absolutely right, and I totally agree. And if our report makes any kind of summary statements, housing, access to housing, and having a safe place to live is key to building inclusive, welcoming, and healthy communities. And so it's forefronted, and it's going to be forefronted in a lot of the conversations we have over the coming year. We're going to be taking our report out and talking to decision makers and municipal councils. And hopefully, as I said, it lands on people's coffee tables, and we're going to be prompting conversations amongst families and individuals. One of the big things is our concern about vulnerable people in this situation too. And our Community Foundations of Canada, in their mission, they say relentlessly creating a future where no one's left behind. And so we really want to be mindful that we want to look after each other and make sure there aren't people falling between the cracks. And as you say, everyone has a safe, nurturing place to live that's going to make them the best person that they can be for as part of our community.
And when those documents land in the hands of people who make decisions at the municipal level, at the provincial level, or even at the federal level, there are bylaws in the communities that either support housing development or creative housing ideas, and also the income disparity that we're seeing, that great divide. Can you speak to that?
Well, yes. I mean, it's some of the numbers in our report are just kind of shocking about the rising cost and the scale of that. In 2021, the Realtors Association Grey Bruce Owen Sound reported the comprehensive annual average price was $650,944, a rise of 35% over 2020. And that one's not as alarming as some of the ones in Town of Blue Mountains or even Saugeen Shores, which are areas that are experiencing rapid transformation and growth. So that, it's hard to get over that hurdle of, how do you contemplate that? We also talked, in terms of living standards, we utilized some of the information from the United Way about what it actually costs to, for a family to rent a typical rent in our community. United Way says in March 2022, to afford a market rent of $1,500 a month for a one-bedroom rental, which is a pretty darn good rent these days, a household must earn $60,000 a year or $32.96 an hour with a 35-hour work week. So just the, extrapolating out from the basic cost of a roof over a family's head, really puts the alarm bell, it sets the alarm bells ringing about how people are able to access these healthy places to live, which we talk about.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes when people are feeling desperate, when their finances are stretched beyond their capability, then they start to feel desperate. This is when your mental health issues start to break down. This is where, in some situations, maybe some criminal activity starts to increase. We know that We have a lot of resources in our community, like 211, that can help people who are feeling overwhelmed in a lot of different ways. And financial, when we start to hear some of those numbers, can be pretty scary. But I still think that your report needs to be out there and for the community to actually see what is happening in our community, what the realities are.
I agree. I think that the report is coming at a time where we need to be talking about these things. And, it's also a double election year in Ontario. So we're hoping that these are things people can read and maybe make a question to a local candidate to kind of push the agenda, about what are we doing about making housing more accessible and affordable for people in our community. So yes, I think it's front and center and a hot topic, and we're really glad to be able to offer this report in a timely way to kind of fuel some critical conversations that we need to have in Grey Bruce over the next couple of years.
Well, we would like to see some opportunity for thinking outside the box when it comes to municipal councils and provincial guidelines around housing and what kind of options could be available in our local communities in terms of being more supportive. I remember after World War I and World War II that there was actually supportive housing for veterans. And so veterans had all kinds of opportunities to buy into the housing market through those support programs. I'm not seeing that same kind of thought process in terms of what folks who are homeless, what they need in their communities to support their needs and their growth and their well-being.
Yeah, it's with all of these questions. I mean, it is very complex and interrelated to so many other factors. And in acknowledging that, our report tries to while we showcase data, we also acknowledge that not everyone is participating in that data. Data is all about summaries and totals and the averages and the majority. What we try and do in our report is tell stories about what some of our local organizations, charities and not-for-profits in our community are doing to address the situation, and also to kind of give people alternative perspectives on the housing crisis. And not everyone is fairly treated, and people are more vulnerable than others. Within our report as well, we acknowledge some of the work, like the 4-County Labor Market Planning Board, for example, just did a whole series of consultations on precarious living. And we were granted the opportunity to excerpt some of the case studies to tell a story about someone's perspective on their life because of housing precarity. And, these are things that I think really make it a well-rounded community storytelling piece that's not just about the hard numbers, but it's about the human stories, about resilience, about creativity, about collaboration and partnership, which is really the only way we're going to find creative solutions to address the things that people are facing. So there's a lot of hope in our report, as well as some kind of shocking numbers.
Well, what you've done is you've created a balance here. But I do think that what resonates the strongest is probably the story. The stories that are being told are going to stay in our minds. The data and the numbers kind of drift away, but it's the story that is impactful.
I think you're absolutely right. And community storytelling is what the foundation tries to do in all of its work, because it's a great way to make people aware of the situations around them and to get people more community engaged and community minded. And we're a philanthropic agency too, so we really rely on the generosity of people in the community to step forward and make a donation and to support community life through donating to one of our funds or starting a fund with us. So. It's part of the whole circle and the whole conversation that we have as an agency that's here to really make life better for the people of Grey Bruce too.
Well, I think the Vital Signs brings all the pieces in our community together into one document, because what you've done is networked with all the different agencies to get information from them and then coordinate everything into a readable, accessible document, which instead of everything being bits and pieces out there, now it's all correlated into one document.
And I'm really proud of it. It's very beautiful too. And we reached out to John Fearnall, who is a photographer that does a lot of drone photography over Grey Bruce, both rural and urban centers. So there's some beautiful imagery that, you know, we are so very fortunate to live in this beautiful part of the world. And so it's a, while we're reading some troubling numbers, it's a nice thing to look at, a nice thing to hold, and it really prompts a deeper dive into some of the narrative that's enclosed inside when it looks so nice.
Oh, absolutely. In one of those aerial photographs, I was able to pick out my city house down by the river. So it's fun just to see those overviews and be able to identify neighborhoods.
So I hope everybody checks it out. And the report is available for download at our website, communityfoundationgraybruce.com. And there's a banner pops up and you can click down. We also have reports on Vital Focus on Youth from 2018 and our full Vital Signs report from 2016, which is still really relevant too. All three reports in concert really provide a great picture of life in Grey and Bruce and some of the emerging priorities for the foundation, but for our communities in general.
Well, I thank you so much, Stuart, for taking the time out of your busy day to bring this document forward and this information. I do know that you had a meeting I believe it was last week or the week before, where you had the community come out and you did a live presentation.
We did. We had a launch for our report at the Harmony Center in Owen Sound, and it is, you know, we've said it again and again that there are many people that have participated in the formation of the report. So we really celebrated the launch with an information fair, and we had sharing from 8 or 10 different organizations that are engaged with housing locally. People were able to meet each other and to learn a little bit about what these organizations are doing. So that's the spirit of this, is that, you know, it's only through these collaborations and learning and sharing that we're going to come to some creative solutions to help people out.
Well, thank you very much, Stuart, and we look forward to the next time you come on Grey County Life to share with us your findings. Really appreciate everything. Have a great day.
Always a pleasure, Rhonda. Thank you, Mary Jane, too.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
What kind of show do you want to see on Rogers TV? What interests you? Log on to rogerstv.com, fill out a show proposal, and tell us about your segment idea. We want to know what you want to see. Rogers TV, only on Rogers.
I started playing softball when I was 4 years old. I loved it because it was all about having fun with my friends. And it still is.
From little kids to adults to seniors, softball is a sport for everyone. Join us.
Rogers TV's YouTube channel is where you'll find your local candidates. Our coverage of local debates, candidate forums, and statements are available to rewatch anytime. See candidates go well beyond party platforms to discuss the issues that matter in your community. Visit the Rogers TV official channel on YouTube for continued coverage of the local campaign.
Welcome back to Great County Life at Home. We have one of our favorite segments, Adorable Adoptables with Miss Renee. And although Charlie's snoozing, we are quite interested to see who's behind the cage.
I wish that I wasn't in an animal shelter location right now, because the two friends I have would certainly like to meet you better than on the other side of a cage. Here's one of them. Come here. Say hello. This is my friend Storm. And Storm, let me see if I can get a picture, has a friend, if I can see if I can do this. It's really hard to do when I can't see it.
You're doing great.
A friend named Phoenix. Now, Storm and Phoenix are two hand-raised conures, which is a type of parrot, a small parrot. And the reason I say that I wish I wasn't here is that these two are quite used to being free flying. Their wings are not clipped, and they are used to sort of having their own little space, and they return to perch on the cage. If I show you up here like this, they would love to sit there, or they'll sit on your shoulder or your fingers, very social and interactive. Unfortunately, when you're in a building filled with cats and dogs and doors opening and shutting, it is a very unsafe circumstance for these two. So for this reason, we have sort of decided to keep them in the cage. So they're a little sad about that. The good news is this is their cage from their previous home, and they are comfortable and quite familiar with it. Thank goodness for that. So the only thing they're missing is some flight time, which is sad. But if we can move them out quickly, then that's not an issue, which is what we're hoping. So these two, let's see if I can zoom in on them again. You don't want to see me, you want to see them. Say hello. Say hello.
They are beautiful.
They are beautiful. And they are 3 years old, which means that they are actually full grown. So yay for that. You know what you're getting in this case. No surprises. They are young parrot. When we say young parrot, we are familiar with the macaws quite often, which can live to be 70 years old, 60 years old. These little guys live to be about 20 by comparison. So they are quite young. They have the life expectancy, let's say, as a cat. So definitely not a short-term commitment, not like your budgies or your finches, but certainly something a little bit longer. Now, the good news is their maintenance is a little bit easier. Again, they are normally free flying. They do eat fruits and vegetables. They do poop in their cage, which is super important when you've got a free flying bird flying around your house. Oh, there you are coming in.
That would be a big concern. Yes.
It absolutely is. No, that doesn't mean that they may not poop in your house. They may, but they're trained to go in here, which is nice. Now, as you can see, at least I hope you can see, they are a bonded pair. They're quite fond of each other. They're used to being together, and the ideal solution would be to send them together. Birds are quite easily stressed with changes in their lifestyle, and certainly losing their mate would be a really bad idea for these guys. They'd probably pull out their feathers and starve themselves to death. So we don't want to do that. Plus one more. Now they are, as I said, hand raised. Now Phoenix, the boy, come here, buddy. I wish you would come over a little bit closer so it's easier. He can be a little bit nippy, so it is not recommended for little fingers because it can hurt and can do a little bit of damage. And the smaller the finger, obviously, the harder that is. We recommend instead wearing your sleeve over your hand just in case. And for some reason, he doesn't recognize that as a threat. When he's got his lady, we're going to call it his girlfriend, he is protective of that situation. So fine outside the cage, fine to handle, but when you put your hand in there, it's better that you pull your shirt down just so that it's not recognized to him as a threat. For whatever reason, it's a threat. And I mean, whatever, it's okay. And that could even be a shelter thing. He may be totally fine in a new home with a new person that he's used to. Let's be honest, I'm a stranger and we're just making friends. Now, I should mention this gorgeous cage, which you can kind of see. Does go with the birds. They came with it. It's their home. And as we mentioned, to reduce stress, we certainly want them to keep it. So the commitment for the birds, although it's a 20-year commitment, may not be so bad, but you also have to commit to this giant cage that you're going to put in your house. It's going to need its own special spot. So if you have a tiny little home, that might be something that you need to think about. You're going to need to give up the couch in that case. These birds do know a few words. Now there's a little camera shy today. Can you say pretty bird or good morning or something for us? No, not today. But they do speak. They know a few words, and certainly their vocabulary can grow the more time you spend with them. So they are very good for an older home. They'll sit and have a conversation with you if you're bored and lonely. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to be older, but the maintenance is easy, which is good. But you need to keep in mind they got that 20 years still ahead of them. Not recommended, as I said, for children, but just about anywhere else, they would be fine. They're not afraid of dogs or cats, but we need to, of course, remind people that birds are often food for dogs and cats. So you want to know your pet that you're bringing them home to. You coming a little closer, guys? Are you coming a little closer? Maybe it's very hard to get them in.
I guess you've got the potential then of having baby birds.
Well, you do. I am not an expert on how easy that is, but I mean, they do love each other, and there's a boy and a girl. So, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how difficult that is, but it is absolutely something somebody needs to keep in mind, because I do not suspect we can do anything about that. I don't believe there's a spay-neuter program for birds. Now they are certainly on the other end of things. I'm not going to guarantee somebody that they will breed, because again, I don't know anything about that. I think that there's a lot of climate things that need to happen in order for that to happen, right? It needs to be so warm and so moist and humid and whatever. I don't know. Not an expert. Wow. Birds are tricky. I think it has to feel like the rainforest to them in order to have babies, I think.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Wow. Say hi. You're hard to get in here. Is it the bar? There we are. That's a little better.
Well, they are gorgeous. So somebody could come and visit them with you with an appointment?
Absolutely. And we do not have a fee for a pocket pet. That's something to keep in mind. We do, of course, appreciate donations, but there's no set fee. So certainly we just want to see them go to the right place. And definitely somebody who is bird experienced would be ideal, or somebody who's done a whole lot of research. I mean, we don't want to see them go anywhere that they're going to end up back here or end up in a worse situation. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we wish Storm and Phoenix the best of luck this week at finding a home. I think they're pretty unique and special. We're hoping that they'll get a nice spot. But we will check back with you next week on Grey County Life at Home. Thanks, Renee.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Your mouth can do a lot of amazing things.